so what I'm going to show you guys how to do today is install an amplifier and a subwoofer in your car. Now the reason this is important to know is eventually the speakers in your car can go out, and an amplifier is not only for a subwoofer, it can be for speakers, mid-range drivers, tweeters, basically anything that plays music. So back in high school, like everyone in my high school was really into car audio and going out and break and cranking their stereo, seeing who's the loudest, you know. And eventually my friend Nick came up, he went to what they call a professional shop and got his stuff done. And within about 10 minutes into playing, like sparks, smoke, pop, his amplifier went out. So when I went in and looked at his amplifier, first of all, the power wire under his hood was not fused, it was just straight wire going right back to his amplifier, which is extremely dangerous. And the ground wire, which is this guy right here, was not connected properly. So what I'm going to show you guys how to do today is properly connect your power wire from your amplifier to your battery with a fuse, connect your RCAs and remote turn on, which is going to turn your amplifier on and give it the music signal, and properly ground it, which is actually the most important part. So the first thing that you're going to do in this process is take your power wire, and as you can see it's already stripped. You're going to take one of these terminals, and you're going to slip it on there, take your pliers and crimp it down. This terminal is actually too big for the power wire, so it doesn't fit on there very good. Once that's crimped on there, now the next thing you're going to do is for the fuse. I don't have another end of the wire, but basically one end of the power wire is going to go into the fuse, and the other end is going to come out and go to your battery. Now once again, I don't have a battery with me because my battery is actually leaking, and I don't really want battery acid all over the place. So after your after your power wire is connected to your battery, you're going to run it along your engine bay, and you're going to have this thing in the back of your engine bay called a firewall grommet. It's just like a little piece of rubber. Basically what you can do is take a razor blade and cut through it. So this is going through your battery, which is going to be over here, through the firewall, and then you're going to run it through your car, and what you're going to do is be tucking this under the panels of your car, and zip tying it up where you can to keep it out of place and make sure it doesn't get kicked around. So afterwards, when this is ran back to your amplifier, you're going to see this terminal right here which says plus 12 volt, and that's where your power wire is going to go into. Most of the time your amplifier is going to come with a little wrench like this. It's called a hex wrench. All you're going to do is take the end of your power wire, plug it into that terminal, and screw that down. When you're doing this, it's very important to make sure there's no loose wires hanging out because that can actually cause a short and fry your amp. Alright, so now your power wire is hooked up and fused. The next step is your ground wire. This is actually the most overlooked part in installing an amplifier in your car because this basically takes all the excess power and grounds it into the body of your chassis. Now a good ground, the best ground you can actually have is grounding it directly to your chassis, but in most places that's not possible because that means you have to drill a hole through your car and go down through it and connect it to the chassis directly. But any good ground will basically be a very large, solid, thick piece of metal. So basically you're going to take this end with the bolt on it, or the lug nut. You're going to connect this to a solid bolt going through your frame of your car, or your chassis. And this one is going to go into this one that says negative, or battery. So, like, so just like the power wire, this one's going to go in there, and you're going to make sure there's no loose wires hanging out. And now it's properly grounded. So our ground is going to be over here. So now you have your power wire ran back to your battery, and your ground wire grounded directly to your frame. The next step is taking these. These are the RCA interconnects. Basically what these are going to do is give a musical signal going back from your head unit to your amplifier. It's basically telling your your subwoofer or your amplifier what music to play. So on the back of the head unit, there's going to be these two things right here. The top ones are going to say front stage and rear stage, and then this one down here says SW, and that stands for subwoofer. And those are the ones we want to connect into. So these are going to be connected into the subwoofer outputs. going to take the other end, and those are going to go on the RCA inputs on your amplifier. So now your amplifier knows what kind of music to play. So now we're properly powered, we have good ground, we know what music's playing, but now your amplifier needs to know how to turn on, and that's where this comes in. This is called the remote turn on wire. Now my head unit right now doesn't have the wires hanging out because all the wiring is actually in my truck. It's not actually coming straight hardwired from my head unit. But in your car you're going to have a small blue wire, the same color as this one coming out. This is just going to be a lone wire by itself. And what you're going to do is take this and connect it to the blue wire coming out of your head unit. And the other end is going to go into this input on your amplifier. Right here, right above where it says remote. So same thing. You're going to be unscrewing the terminal. Plugging that in there. And making sure it's down nice and tight without any loose wires hanging out. Alright, so now your amplifier is properly powered, it's grounded, and it knows when to turn on. So the next step is taking your subwoofer or speakers, if you're doing speakers instead of a subwoofer, and then you're going to have your speaker wire. Now speaker wire, same thing, you're just going to strip the ends off. It's going to look like that. You're going to take the terminals on your speaker or subwoofer and plug those into there. And the other end's going to go into these terminals on your amplifier called speaker in. So same thing as always, making sure it's nice and tight in there, making sure there's no loose wires. Alright, so now everything's connected. The best thing to do is to go through, make sure your ground is tucked away up underneath all your panels, zip tied up when you can't tuck it. Make sure your RCAs and remote are on the opposite side of your vehicle from your power wire. Because if your power wire and your RCAs are actually on the same side running through your vehicle, the interference from the power wire can interfere with the RCAs and you can get distortion in your music. The next thing is to check your ground wire, make sure it's nice and strong, because if it's not strong you'll hear hissing and clicking in your music. And then the last thing to do is to go up to your head unit and actually start playing music. Because the last thing you want to do is actually have everything put away, tucked, everything put back together, and then realize your subwoofer or your speakers aren't working. So basically what I showed you guys today is how to properly power and fuse your power wire, how to find a good ground for your ground wire, how to connect your RCAs and remote input, and how to connect your subwoofer to your amplifier. Thank you.